I'll be able to tell real quick.
Whatever. You act like someone's coming in here just to fuck you up.
Dude, I come in here, the lights are turned off all the time. The lights from the wall are unplugged.
I don't know what's going on there.
Someone's coming in your house at night and sabotaging the podcast room.
You know that troll that like steals one of the socks out of the dryer? It might be the same guy.
Do y'all go through the same struggle too?
Everybody does. I think there really is a little cubby hole in the dryer that things get stuck. Or there's other, like when you put the socks up on top, it falls behind the dryer.
Have you ever, I've looked behind the dryer and there's no socks. I went behind the dryer because, you know, Kelly does the laundry at the house like she should. And
Fuck. You thought you were on TikTok for a little while, didn't you?
She does the laundry, and very rare, but it happens. I mean, when I did it, I lost socks all the time, but she's very good at doing the laundry because she's had a lot of practice. And does that make you uncomfortable?
No.
I think it does. There's a rare occasions where I lose a sock, and I'm like, where does the sock go? Where does it go? I put it in the basket, and then you put it in the washer, and then you put it in the dryer, and then it comes right back to the room. Where does it go? So I was like, it's got to be behind. I'm going to find a whole pile of socks behind the dryer.
2 hours later, the whole thing's deconstructed.
There's no fucking socks there. They're nowhere. You can't find them.
We need to really take one apart and see if there's one in there. There's a hole in there that it goes somewhere in. I think so. Everybody has the same problem. We do the same thing. You end up having a catch-all. You have like in the hamper, you have a couple singles in there. You're like, all right, well, I'm going to catch them on the next round because you think for somehow they got separated. It's a thing.
I believe it.
They call it like a little sock gremlin.
Yeah.
I don't know what he looks like.
I want to have more carnivore people on, but I'm afraid that we'll be dubbed the Carnivore Podcast instead of the Curiosity Podcast.
I think we're pretty close to being dubbed that already.
Because we've had two on. Maybe we'll have a vegan on to balance.
Two and then keto, which is close.
Yeah, we had keto, but he's doing carnivore.
Mm-hmm. So basically we had three. I don't know.
And they're so close to each other.
I don't know what's gotten into you.
It's because I'm doing the diet.
Yeah.
But
people seem to like it, though. A lot of people watching them.
There's a lot of comments on YouTube. I didn't realize how many people are doing it.
Is it people doing it or people just like, that's against their beliefs, so they watch it and then comment?
No, it's people who've started the carnivore journey, and some people, there's a few comments on the videos where they've been doing the carnivore diet for a couple months, and there's people on there that have been doing it for 2 or 3 years. I think there's a guy that said he was doing it for 7 years.
There was one person though saw it was against their beliefs and then commented.
I think
they've got some big comments on.
Do you think it's fitting to read some of the comments right now?
I guess anonymously, probably.
Why? It's public. It's public that they commented on a public platform.
Okay.
Let's troll the shit out of them.
So I looked up their addresses.
No, I think it's funny. Not funny, but interesting to see everyone's take on the carnivore diet.
I thought I was gonna, we're starting to get negative comments, and then majority of it's positive because they're people normally that we know or something, but we're starting to get some negative ones. Like, it's funny how much I don't care. I thought I would.
What do you mean?
Like, I think there was one saying he don't know what the fuck he's talking about, which
there was a guy
I was totally fine with. I don't know why I'm fine with it. I should not be, but
okay. So this guy's from this is on Joanne Ozog's video, her actual podcast video. So for folks that are listening, please go subscribe to our YouTube channel. No, don't do it.
Like and subscribe.
Like and subscribe. But she's been on the carnivore diet for like 14 months. And she has a podcast you can find on Spotify and Apple where she talks about the benefits of the carnivore diet. But there's a point in that podcast where Mike is referencing some, I'll say, vegan beliefs. Probably, I think it's like,
I think it's maybe.
I think it's more vegan beliefs where they say that our physiology resembles more of an omnivore.
Yeah. It's the famous picture of like all animals compared to like the teeth of a human and like an ape and like a lion, and then the gut, all the GI tract and how they walk and how they digest food. So
it was a good question though.
It's a common thing.
You just asked her, hey, and it's not controversial. Back in our ancestral days, we ate meat and we ate some fruits and veggies and stuff like that. So anyway, you asked the question, and Nicholas, who has a picture of Drago, which is funny. You know Drago?
I feel like I do.
Yeah, Drago's the Russian boxer.
Oh yeah.
Off of Rocky IV.
Yeah, so he's out there destroying people,
which is funny. But he's like, our physiology is more similar to carnivores than omnivores and herbivores. Your buddy is misinformed. And then I said, Nicholas, I've been telling Mike this for years. and Nicholas responds with a YouTube video on as an excellent source to point out that we're really not herbivores. That we're more, our digestive system is more similar to actually falcons and hawks and eagles.
Oh shit! So we're birds, huh?
Birds of a feather. And then he goes on to say, our brains and CNS needs massive calories, fat, and animal protein is how we feed it. The other thing about this information I find interesting is that it's okay to have some non-carnivore items and still be considered a hyper-carnivore by scientific standards, which I think that's like the same beliefs as Paul Saladino.
Yeah.
Because he does honey and like goat milk, and it's an animal-based product, but it's, he'll do fruit too. But
yeah.
that's good.
The ender for all these comments, like the ultimate ender, is always misinformed, uninformed.
Wasn't there?
It's basically saying like you're stupid a little bit. What was the other one? There was another comment on the same thread, I think, where someone was arguing against it, and then they said, "You're poorly informed." Like at the very end, it's like a little zinger.
I think that was on Lisa. So Dr. Lisa Weidman.
Yeah.
Let's see. 7 days ago. Let's see. We'll fill this time here.
And then
come on, man.
I thought it was funny. We had the vegan. We had the vegan on. Remind me of the name.
What do you mean? That's your guest.
Yeah,
you should know. Chef Bay.
Yeah, Chef Bay. Thank you. I was drawing a blank. Where you were commenting to yourself. You need to read that one. So Jon was commenting on his personal account to our account, and then our account to himself.
Let's highlight that. We're getting. That's what's astonishing to me is I really thought the vegan community would like come abreast and chant the video, but none, crickets.
Yeah,
no one.
I thought so. I thought so too.
The carnivore videos is generating. I think it's so like we talked about this earlier, and I don't know if it's because I'm so deep in it right now. I'm following all these people doing carnivore, but I feel like the rest of the world is realizing how much the vegan community is full of shit.
God, it's such a bold statement.
They are. I mean, it's kind of.
It just goes against your belief.
Okay, so my belief is
there's something to the carnivore diet though, because our numbers look a lot different on the carnivore. I think there's that key word right now is trending. People are wanting to know more about it, or already doing it and want to watch it, or are against it and want to watch and see, how much things are wrong with it.
I genuinely feel that if people go vegan for what's the word I'm looking for the protection of animals, right? For their beliefs of protecting animals, and that's one thing. But there's study after study coming out, and all these, and they're all observational studies, and they're not real controlled studies, and I don't know how much weight you can put in them, but long-term veganism is proven not to be healthy, just from the bioavailability that you get from animals versus plants. There's a meme going around right now that talks about you get more vitamin A from a carrot than you do from meat. And then it's broken down by scientific, at the caloric level. And it says, well, your body, on paper, yes, a carrot does have a high amount of vitamin A in it, but your body can't turn that into vitamin A. So you really only get 4% of that versus meat. You get all of it because it's more about your body can change that into vitamin A.
Yeah, it's interesting. I feel like those studies on vegans too are like every vegan's got to go through their processed food stage and stay there majority of the time. So I don't think it's I don't think it's healthy to be a vegan that eats a bunch of the processed food. Like I started feeling like crap when I started eating, the fake burgers and chicken and burritos. And, you're basically doing the same thing as you do on the standard American diet. It's like you're basically eating all the junk food, but it's vegan now. But you get lost because you start saying, oh, well, this is vegan, and you associate that all with health. And then, a couple months down the road, you're gaining weight and you're like, what's going on? And then you reflect and say, oh, shit. Yeah. I'm eating junk food again. And it's addicting too, just like regular food. So you're just going to get addicted to it. Just like on keto, keto has these snacks and cookies now. So I think it's easy as a carnivore to stick to it because there's not much else you can eat. There's not junk food yet up with it. Yeah. So it's pretty cut and clear. If you're a carnivore,
no pun intended.
So if you're a carnivore, you're a carnivore. When you're vegan, it's like a bunch of different definitions.
Yeah. What kind of vegan? Are you eating plants?
Yeah.
Or are you eating? Yeah. Are you going to a vegan restaurant and eating fried? What's that vegan restaurant that we like to go to?
Well, it's not around anymore, but it's green vegetarian cuisine.
No, not that one. The other one.
Oh, Corny Vibes.
Corny Vibes.
So Corny Vibes is not a healthy place.
But it's good, though.
So Corny Vibes is a place in Houston that has like these, basically a box for two people, and they have 10 boneless wings, boneless, whatever. And you pick the sauces, so you get like 10 big-ass like barbecue ones or 10 big-ass buffalo ones. Comes with like a shit ton of fries, and then it comes with 2 burgers, which is everything's basically fake, right? Fake cheese, fake meat. You get lettuce and tomato out of it, but then it's bread, and then the wings are soy with bread. The fries have those oils we've been talking about,
all those seed oils,
and potato, and so like nothing about it's healthy. They do have healthy stuff there, but it's definitely like a go and splurge type of thing for a vegan. But I think if you were to compare a carnivore with a legitimate vegan where you're just eating the vegetables, you're not bringing in the grains and the beans, because that's what vegans go to at Flock. If they want to be, a strict vegan, they'll still accept those things, which I feel are like empty like filler foods that don't really contribute to anything. They just fill you up. So like rice and beans and maybe quinoa is like something you can add to it, but mainly if you're eating vegetables at their core, not a bunch of soy or none. I think if you compare those two, I think you're getting pretty good results. You'll always run into the B12 thing.
The argument is that hardcore carnivores have against veganism is that you have to supplement some way, some form of fashion. If you do vegan long term, you're going to be malnutritious or now malnourished in some vitamin.
Yeah. It's hard to say though, because like you have carnivores that have been going along because the argument here is like I think with vegans, with meat is like, of course, the animal cruelty thing, but it's also like heart disease. So it's hard to say when you have this anecdotal evidence of someone being carnivore for, like Lisa, I think was 13 years.
Yeah, 12 to 13.
But then you have vegans that have been there 13 years, but you also have vegans that have been 20, 30 years. and some of them supplement with B12 and some of them don't. And some of them are healthy and some of them aren't. I bet you there's carnivores that there's some that are good, some of them aren't too. So it's just hard. Like you just see the popular ones on social media where they're, ripped and feeling good and, doing all this fringe stuff.
There was a comment actually on one of the posts. But by the way, my comments on the vegan video,
get to them?
They got taken down by YouTube.
What?
Yes. YouTube took them down.
You can't even read them anymore?
I can't read them. I can't get to them.
Are you sure? You just can't find it?
That's why I got on my phone to look at them. I can see that there's 3 comments, but I can't view them. So for the people, I think you explained it, but
a little bit. What did you say in detail? Because I don't think that was worth taking down.
Yeah, I don't think it's crazy, but you titled the video "Vegans Have It Hard" or something, right? That's what you titled the video.
The little short.
It's hard being vegan.
Yeah.
Okay. So I commented from my personal YouTube page and I said, "Bullshit! America's so pro-vegan." And then I went back on Curiosity with Jon and Mike's YouTube and commented, "Jon, please be respectful to the vegan community. They have a hard life," or something like that. And then I came back and I was like, "No, vegans have it easy." And I was like, it was like 3 or 4 comments. I can see that we have comments, but I can't look at it because YouTube's removed them. It says comments have been removed.
Wow. That doesn't seem that bad.
That's crazy, right?
It's just 2 different people's beliefs hashing it out. That seems strange, man. We must have other comments that have been removed too, because I think some of the other comments are worse than that. I think
my cousin I think one of his comments got removed because I went to go comment on it and I couldn't anymore. And I saw it, but I couldn't comment. So somebody wrote on one of the carnivore videos that Indians in India are largely vegan or vegetarian for religious reasons, and they have a really high rate of heart disease.
Really?
Yeah. So there's this article from...
Did he reference the article? So
no, but I'm looking at the India Times, so I don't know how many...
That's the hard thing. These shows similar to ours and others, they don't reference the material, and it's real easy to say, like with what you're saying with the vitamin A, what article is that? We need to reference that because it's easy to say that, and then it's like, okay, well, so you win.
Yeah, because we can both like.
You can find the article, and then I'll find the opposing article.
Yeah, that's what I was about to say.
So that's why it's hard to debate any of this stuff, because then you can who's going to be the referee against articles?
Yeah,
who's going to say which article is right? Because they could both be peer reviewed or whatever you need to go through to get. Yeah.
And then you get to the fact of well, this article may be so there's the difference between observational studies, that are just basically doctors or epidemiologists having people do surveys, which we know, based on bubbles, based on some doctors that we've had on the podcast, observational studies are they're to be taken, serious, but they're not as good as a controlled study being completed, because then you're really getting data. You're getting, if you're doing something with nutrition, you're getting blood, you're checking your blood glucose level, you're checking your weight, your height, all that good stuff throughout the entire length of the study. Mm-hmm. So then you have those 2 things that you can kind of filter on, and then it's like, okay, well, this was a controlled study, but who was the study paid for by?
That's another one. And that's what vegans will argue with all day, is that like it's funded by dairy or meat or something like that. So that's another one where I don't know who wins the argument.
I think carnivores do.
Because those studies the outcome's never bad for the person funding it. Mm-mm. And I don't know is it by design? I don't know.
They'll leave information out. Even Joanne said, I don't know if she said on our podcast or if she said on her podcast, it's all runs together now, but she talks about a study that was conducted with olive oil, And after the study was conducted, it showed bad, like negative results against olive oil, but they just left those people out. And they only used the people that maybe didn't use as much olive oil throughout their, the time that they were observed.
Yeah.
So they had, they lost weight or...
Those studies need to be pulled, man. Those ones where they have... we've heard about that stuff.
They do retract. They retract them, but by the time they've been published versus the length of time, in between the retraction, it's already too late.
Yeah.
The damage has been done.
There's some bias in there when you take things out, like results out like that. Yeah. There's a bias that you're like trying to make the data look good.
Yeah.
If you're trying to be subjective or you're trying to be objective, then you would leave everything in there and then let people, look at the data and see for themselves what they want to believe. If you have a couple of deaths in there or something that you take out, it's a little fucking fishy.
It's
I
a
think.
Little skewed, isn't it?
Yeah. And I don't know, maybe some cases you do that because maybe they weren't the subject you thought coming in, but they shouldn't get in until, I don't know what they had to be, healthy or obese or whatever that main point, the baseline was.
Yeah.
Once they decide, those results should be in the final results. They shouldn't be able to take those things out and make because then you can't believe it. If you reference that study, then it's like, I don't believe that shit.
Yeah.
They weren't honest in the beginning. So who knows what else other things they did during the study that made the numbers look good.
You don't know what to believe. I try to stay informed, reading news, and I'll send you articles. Mm-hmm. And then sometimes it'll be like 3 days will pass by, and I realized that the article they'll update information in it where they got it wrong previously. So they're doing their due diligence. But what if I didn't realize that they updated the information?
No.
You know what I mean? So then I'm going around spewing misinformation that I got from a news organization. There's like a no-win situation.
That has a political side too.
I try not to get my news from Fox or NBC.
Yeah, but it sucks when a health article has a political side when it should just be objective. So, sometimes if it goes with the narrative, they put out this study because it's really prevalent to the time, and then there's no repercussions for coming out later and saying, "Oh, we were wrong."
Yeah,
like it's almost like, "Oh, they're so honest. They came out and said when they're wrong, but they need to get it out right then, and they don't care how true it is, or they haven't really done their research, and they just want to put it out and be the first ones to get it on there." It seems like, I don't know if it's different in today's times, but it seems like there's a lot more coming out and apologizing for false news because they're trying to generate it so quickly, trying to get it out there as soon as possible.
They want to be first.
They want to be first to where they're not doing their due diligence and making sure the data is correct.
Yeah. I don't know. You almost have to. I've been leaning more towards independent journalism lately, but even then it gets fishy because you get to kind of pick up on what their beliefs are because now even though it's independent journalism, a lot of it's opinion pieces. So you get to really get a good picture real fast of which way they lean politically.
Mm-hmm. You can read it.
Yeah.
I mean, you start reading, like, okay, I get it.
I know where you're coming from.
I get it. And that you shouldn't be able to read through that kind of stuff with medical advice, and
yeah,
like it's like then I'll never trust that source again. Yeah, because they let that in.
The doctor we had on today, which his episode won't be available for a couple of weeks, but for the folks listening, there's a study that was published, or is actually completed in 2011, but they're doing kind of a revamp, and they're checking in with the 200 participants. But it was a study based on restricting your calories and what the positive benefits were to your body. So they were looking strictly at how it improves aging. So strictly related to the thymus and your T cells. But anyway, I bring that up because that was one of the first people that we've talked to that I didn't think I couldn't tell.
Yeah.
We were getting into some questions that you could, even with veganism and the carnivore, we were getting into those questions, and I was purposely trying to gauge which side of the fence he was on, and I couldn't tell.
there's no gain in not eating as much. You're not selling nothing there. So just the subject alone is objective. It's like there's no, they're not going to sell anything from not eating. You're not buying anything.
Yeah.
Now, if you had a product that would help you not eat as much, then there you go. But
we were even asking what type of diet was more benefit. What type of diet saw the best results? Were some people eating, carnivore, low fat, low carb versus Mediterranean? And he really emphasized we didn't care what type of diet.
Yeah.
We cared only about the amount of calories.
That's what scares me. We talked about that. Like, I feel like a calorie is not a calorie. Food's not food.
Yeah.
There's a better and worse type. And I feel like if you had someone doing the standard American diet compared to doing, a healthier diet, and then you track them for, like you said, that long-term study for 5 years, I think you're going to see significant differences between the two. But you just count calorie for calorie and then kind of average their percentage like he was talking about.
Yeah.
And then it's like, okay, well, if you just stop eating as much, you get this result no matter what you eat.
I see what you're saying. And then I kind of look, for once, I'm always a glass empty kind of guy. The glass is fucking half empty. It's never full, but this time I'm seeing it half full. It makes me feel good that it didn't matter what they were eating. They just didn't eat as much. And they saw these pretty significant health benefits. So that tells me in my mind I'm doing something good personally by not eating as much, by eating the food I am.
You think you're like, well, shit, if that's right, then everybody would do it. But they won't.
No.
Because we can't stop fucking eating.
So, yeah. So that study, he was only talking about reducing your normal calories by 14%, which if you base that on, and then it's
like a snack.
Yeah, that's a muffin. A muffin, well, it depends what kind of muffin, I guess, but that's like 300 calories. If you just go off the standard 2,000 calorie a day diet, that's less than 300 calories.
Yeah.
That's not a lot.
No. And they won't do it.
No.
And you can even go as far as to say if you fast more, your body will regenerate itself. You'll age slower.
Yeah.
And that's not enough because we are so addicted to food.
I find myself, I have to be careful when I fast because I find myself overeating whenever it's my window to eat.
Yeah. But
even if it's steak, I don't have that, I get full real quick and I can feel it, but I still want more.
Yeah. There's a lot of beliefs. There's one, like eat whatever you want, just don't overeat.
Yeah.
Eat to the point where you're just about not hungry is like, I feel like one of them. And then the other one is like the whole intermittent fasting thing. Like eat what you want in a window, no matter how full you get. Let your body process that food that one time a day, get in a routine with it, and your body will become efficient. And it's not like it's constantly breaking down food the entire day as you eat, 3 meals a day. You're allowing one window and not allowing that window to go too late to where you're actually sleeping, and then that process runs into your sleep.
Yeah.
I think there's some studies where if you eat too late, then your body actually stops processing the food at a certain time with something within circadian rhythm and all that. And then you actually start to have to catch up the next day.
Yeah.
Because I think the two processes don't work together at some point. And so you just have the food sitting in there, not digesting.
That's interesting you mentioned that, because I find if I eat late, even if it's, my carnivore steak and eggs, the later I eat, the worse I sleep. So I've been making it a point to eat way before, 7 o'clock. That way whatever my body's doing is done by the time I go to bed at 8:30 or 9, whatever time it is.
Yeah.
But it's true that if I eat late, I don't sleep good that night. There's been a couple times where we fucking have eaten pizza and shit, and that night I sleep like shit. I don't sleep.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I don't know what it is, but anecdotally, if I'm just staying on my eggs and bone marrow and liver and all that stuff, I sleep good. I sleep so good.
It's so hard to tell anecdotally what's going on. You remember that time I was going to go out before our half marathon run, like our own, we were going to run around the city and do a half marathon. And I said, I went out with some friends and they started wanting doing shots and all this stuff. And I knew we had that big run, so I wasn't going to do it, but peer pressure, peer pressure and all this. And I got like gone that night and I slept probably, there's no way I was going to miss our run. And it was at like, was it 6 a.m. or 7 a.m.? We were starting
early. Yeah, it was dark when we started running.
Ooh, so it might have been 5 a.m.
Yeah.
So anyways, I went to bed at 2, just gone, right? And I somehow woke up on time. I drove to Lake Jackson. I just looked like shit. I had the best run ever. we ran half a marathon and we averaged
like 7:15.
Wasn't it? Yeah. No, not 17. It was probably 7:45 or 7:30.
I can look pretty quick.
No.
You want to check?
No.
It's like 7:15, 7:20.
Yeah.
Hickey broke his he did a PR that day.
Did he?
Yeah.
Yeah. So what is that? I mean, I was dehydrated. I probably still drunk when I ran.
Yeah. You're around other people though. There was 4 other people there.
But there's other times when I eat real healthy and I just feel sluggish.
Yeah. You ever think it's that you need to shock your body every now and then?
I think so. I think there's some value in doing the cheat days.
Yeah.
Like if you're going to do a diet, to have one a week or something, because even you were talking about like on low carb, you shock your body and you actually sometimes end up losing weight by doing that.
Yeah.
It's like a kickstart for your body to like.
I don't feel that way anymore though.
No?
No. When I have that cheat, we had a little cheat day last week with Brianda and Alex. We had pizza and I was done for 2 days.
Really?
I used to feel that way. That was my way, or maybe that was my way of just saying that so I could go get pizza.
Yeah.
But last 2 times that I've eaten pizza, because both 2 times in the last like 3 months that I've done this, 2 times that I've cheated, it's been with pizza. Like,
pizza.
And it wrecks me, dude. My knees hurt. I get weird pains in my knees when I run.
I'm starting to get knee pain.
How many cheat days have you been on lately?
A couple months.
Yeah.
No, for real. Like, I never have knee pains, and I'm starting to get them again.
Should we do an intervention moment right now?
The thing I know about my knee pains, or as I know, if I shape up, it'll go away. But yeah, it's starting to get that like kind of arthritis-y kind of feel. Remember that whole knee thing I was telling you? I couldn't drive for too long. My knees would start hurting.
Oh yeah.
It's exactly that. So even on the plane when I was coming home a couple of days ago, I started getting kind of anxious and my knees started hurting. I wanted to get up. Regardless, I'll do that because the plane's like pretty small for taller people. But my knees started hurting a little bit.
You better get back on track, dude. I'm worried about you.
That last podcast we just did kind of made me want to get in that intermittent fasting. Yeah, some of these podcasts we've been doing kind of been motivating me.
I can't ask you what's been your favorite, but what have you learned the most since doing it?
Not a damn thing.
Not a fucking thing.
I like some of the stuff is good. I mean, like, you can tell obviously some of the episodes are more for you, some are more for me.
Why do you say that?
Well, obviously. But some of this carnivore stuff's interesting. There's a lot of people on board and a lot of doctors that are getting on board. I'm interested in seeing where it goes, and it's going to have to be in our whole lifetime before we see actual studies that show something, because it takes years to come out with something. And just like we were talking about the doctor, even in a controlled study, you can't make the people do everything you need to. So they can cheat, they can like not eat what you're saying, and then if you have enough of those people, it can throw the numbers off to where historically we look back and say, well, this didn't help, but also the people weren't doing what they were supposed to do, because there's only so much you can do ethically to make the subjects do what the study calls for.
Yeah,
which I get, but we can't go off those numbers if they weren't done correctly. everybody has to do exactly. You can't even get normal people to do that. So if people are just volunteering for studies, I'm sure a big portion of it, I'm sure at least 30-40% aren't going to follow. They're going to cheat. They're going to eat stuff they're not supposed to.
He mentioned people getting paid too.
Yeah, sure. But if you don't have someone watching you at all times,
yeah,
you can say you didn't do that. I guess he's talking about like you can monitor glucose levels and see spikes and notice when they eat something. You might not know what they ate, but they ate something outside of the regimen, so I think the further we go in monitoring that kind of stuff and so for sure, the more accurate the studies will be. And it's tough. Someone has to fund it, but it's weird that, the people that want the numbers to look good are normally funding it. But other than that, I guess I don't know how things get funded. I hope like the FDA, would want to put good information out for us and fund that. And I know the government has money and we can fund the right things to get real information that we actually would use. But unfortunately, like if someone says eating Fruit Loops is unhealthy, they're going to pay for a study that says it's not that bad. So they keep selling Fruit Loops,
I wish we could get some of these people that we've had over Zoom in person.
Yeah.
That'll make the conversation so much better. It flows because you could see someone's facial expression and you can kind of, read between the lines of what they're saying and react different versus having the delayed response. It's very robotic on Zoom because it's like I ask questions, you ask questions, respond. Stop, ask questions, respond. You know what I mean? There's not the ebb and flow of general conversation,
Yeah. You can't, it's harder to pick up on social cues.
Yeah.
Because you don't know what's going on over there.
We need to build in a budget to fly these folks out.
Yeah. Yeah. The big budget we have here.
It's huge, isn't it?
Yeah.
Are you excited about going on the trip?
Yeah. I don't think they know.
No one knows. We're doing our first mobile podcast. So we're making not a weekend out of it, but a couple of days to interview people in Austin and Fredericksburg. What?
Don't want to give up the guest, huh?
Well, Rome Ranch is one of them. So we're going to talk. So based off your fucking vegan girl, I wanted to learn about regenerative farming. So there's a couple of big ranches in Texas that do it, and Rome Ranch is a pretty good size ranch, and they you can probably see there. So for the people that are listening, they sell grass fed, finished beef, and chicken, all of that's sustainably done at the ranch. And I want to say they partner with Forces of Nature, so you can see Forces of Nature. At HEB, I don't know if it's at HEB, but I know I've seen them maybe at Kroger's and stuff.
Yeah.
But them, and then we got a photographer. We got a professor that my sister-in-law hooked us up with to talk about critical race theory. I'm pretty excited about that.
Yeah. What do you want to get out of that?
I want to be able to understand why Republicans are so against critical race theory being taught in school. Critical race theory is been around for like the last 50, between 50 and 40 years. And it's a dummy giving you the meaning of critical race theory is it's teaching students that racism is not only an individual belief. It's been embedded in our society and our corporations and criminal justice system strategically. And that's why it's so hard to combat or overcome and fight and get rid of racism. It's not just a belief of individualism. It's a belief. It's embedded in who we are as Americans. That's what I believe critical race theory is. And I want to understand what's so scary about it. Why are there so many moms? Why are there so many different organizations? Why are politicians wanting to push it out of it being taught? If it's really taught that way, if it's being taught with malice that America is racism or racist and everybody is bad and no, the white man's the only good, then yeah, then I could see why. But I don't think it's being taught that way. But I don't know. I asked my daughters if they've been taught or if they know what that is, and they don't. I think it's already been banned, or there's bills to ban it, K through 12.
Is it? Do you think it's more college? Because I don't remember ever learning that.
I don't remember ever learning that either, but it's already banned K through 12.
So Texas. At some point you think they were...
Maybe. I don't know. Maybe I was indoctrinated, but I wasn't paying attention.
It had to have been in high school because, I don't ever remember hearing something like that.
I don't think they title it like, all right, we're going to learn about critical race theory today.
You think it's an actual class though, right?
I think it's part of a class. I don't think it's a class. I don't think you sign up for it and say, I'm taking critical race theory. I think it's part of history being taught.
Oh, within the history class? And it's the way it's
set
narrated.
Up. Yeah. So there's some folks that there's Republicans. It's mostly Republicans. They think that it's teaching our kids that America is and will always be racist. I think is the narrative that Republicans are spouting out there. But there's Ken Paxton, Lieutenant Governor Ken Paxton, is proposing a bill or trying to fight it now in the public education setting.
To keep it? No,
to abolish it from college too. That no college in Texas will teach critical race theory. There's teachers apparently that are have had death threats because they're continuing to teach critical race theory or a theory of critical race theory or mention it. But it's become a very political topic. I just spit on you. It's become a very political topic in Texas, and I want to understand. Have you also heard about the book bans?
Yeah.
Yeah, so they're banning books in Texas because they have some sexual connotation to them. There's a couple of books that are geared towards transgender kids, where they talk about, transitioning from a male to a female or vice versa, or talking about being gay. And there's this big uproar from the Republican side to ban books out of libraries. I've been trying to get a couple of these authors on, but they don't
want to talk.
They're sketchy about doing interviews. But I think they're sketchy because, one, we're from Texas, and I'm saying, hey, we're a podcast out of Texas. We want to understand. But I genuinely want to know, what does your book have? Because I read your book, or I get little snippets, and those snippets look bad. You know what I mean?
They're probably out of context.
Yeah, they're snippets out of context, and I know they are. But on the flip side of it, parents that are freaking out about these books. One, I don't know a damn kid that actually goes into a library anymore and reads books. I don't think they're worried about kids reading books, but they're the same parents that have kids who are on fucking TikTok all day, shaking their ass. Serious. I'm serious.
Shaking their ass.
I'm 100% serious.
They read too, man. They read.
No, I don't know I don't know. It's not the same percentage as we were kids. We grew up in the generation where we really had to go do some encyclopedia searches for a book report or something. You know what I mean?
That sucked.
We had to go in the library. Now everything's on their phone. So I bet you, I don't know what the percentage is, but I bet you if you looked it up, there's not a lot of kids reading books in libraries.
Yeah. I don't know.
Parents, I guess my point is, parents should be worried about what's on their phones and on their laptops versus worried about a book that a child might read. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I don't know. They have the world on their phone. So, man, they can get into a lot of things.
We want to keep our kid away from transgender talk in a book, but let Sally shake her ass on TikTok. To me, that's the most hypocritical thing.
So to go back to the critical race theory, how they say it's ingrained into society, what is it saying puts it into society? It's just by design, or from the government?
From our founders, like by design, from how America was founded. It's founded on one of the pillars is racism.
I guess
it's in our corporate structure. It's in our capitalistic structure. It's in our criminal justice. Every major pillar in America has a form of racism in it, is what the Republicans are saying.
Are saying that they don't believe?
Are saying that that's what teachers are teaching our kids.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
So they think that that's what it is, and they don't want them teaching that.
But I don't think that's what it is. I don't know. And this is me willing, like I'm admitting that I'm getting my information from too many right-winged media outlets.
But you've read both.
There's not a whole lot of the other side out there that's public, that's easy to read. Unless I don't watch news, so maybe it's on the news. But I haven't been able to really go to an article and clearly see, oh, okay, this is what critical race theory is, and this is what it's actually being taught.
When you gave your definition to the teacher that we're going to have on, she said you're pretty accurate.
Yeah, my sister-in-law. My sister-in-law got.
And they were more left, right?
Yeah.
So it seems like you have a good representation of it. Maybe you're missing some details, but
I feel like that's the definition.
Yeah.
I looked up the definition. I read it. What I gave you was my dummy version of it, my dumbed down version of it. But I want to understand what's the uproar about it? What's so bad about it?
Teaching?
Yeah.
It's kind of like, in my view, it's like you're teaching that racism is a thing, and I feel like America was built on slavery.
Yeah.
Can we agree on that?
What do you mean built on slavery though?
I feel like we had slavery just like a lot of the other countries, and I think we got ahead from slavery, and I think everything was built from slavery. And so it kind of was built from slavery and racism. But I think now that slavery is no more and we have these things in place, I think they're going to have that residual racism in there. But I think as time goes by, it goes away like it is now, like to where we have these Black Lives Matter, we're starting to diversify everything, like the police force is going to have a lot of diversity now. It's not one race there. And there's people of leadership levels, becoming, that are diversified as well. And so with that happening, I think the racism in those different sections will start to deplete.
Yeah.
It's
such a nuanced subject because So I got in trouble. I guess we should tell. I got in trouble from one of our past podcast guest because of a comment that I said to you that it was harder for white people these days than it is for an ethnic minority. To some degree, I still feel that way, that being white is bad, and it's almost reversed racism these days because you have to hire a certain amount of ethnic people, and you have to have a certain amount of representation on interview teams, and they're forcing this diversity on you. Mm. When I genuinely feel that it should just be diversified. Like, there's bad actors, but we should get rid of those bad. If they're in a high position, get rid of them. Yeah. I know it's easier said than done, but
I think we talked about this before. I think it has to be forced because it's just not going to happen by itself at this point. Yeah. But when we become more diversified, I think it's just going to be normal. We're going to be mixed up enough to where, it's not a thing.
And so I disagree with you because I think that there's organizations out there that depend their profitability depends on driving racism.
Yeah. Well, how does that get in the corporate world, do you think?
By everything we're seeing today.
Yeah. I mean, like we talked about spectrum. I mean, there's bad and there's good.
I know.
It just needs to be in the middle. But
it's so nuanced, and it sucks that we have to tippy-toe around this subject, and especially you, because it must suck being a white person talking about racism.
I don't like to.
But it's it's nice that we can genuinely have these conversations.
Yeah.
Me being Mexican, you being white. You can't get any whiter than you are. You're white. But you're a good person. Right?
I think.
Right? And if you're a bad person, I'm not going to hang out with you. And if you're a bad person and you're a racist person, you're probably not going to get a... First off, if you're racist in today's world, you're probably just... You're not going to be a successful person, I think.
I think you'd be picked off in this world really quick if you have any racist tendencies.
Yeah, I don't think those... racism is very much alive, and I know there's people that are racist, but I think that's I don't know, this is a bad correlation, but there's people that are obese and they will always be obese, and they will never come on board with the benefits that you get from healthy eating and a healthy diet. Right? And those people aren't going to be winners in life. They're not going to be successful people. That's how I feel about someone who's dumb and racist. If you're racist, you're probably not educated. Mm-hmm. You're probably not a good person. And you probably just don't have a lot of shit going well for your life. And that's why you don't expand and talk to people. That's what our podcast is built about, is curiosity and talking to all different types of people. And that's why we're so successful.
I don't know why I didn't see that fucking shit coming.
Did you like that? Like what I did there?
A little bit. I saw kind of racism through another lens on my plane ride the other day.
I don't want to hear this bullshit about your hair. Is it about your hair?
No, okay. No. So I was watching, so I was sitting in a seat and I saw a black family basically watching a show, and they were watching The Proud Family. You remember that on Disney? Mm-mm. It was like a black cartoon, and it was something that came on, I think, Disney.
Okay.
But I was thinking, most of the cartoons are white people.
You mean like back in the day or today's world?
No, but definitely back in the day. Yeah. Like during that time, it really was. Yeah. And to be a black person and trying to watch shows, is like you didn't have that many to watch that's relatable. Yeah. Because the Proud Family is like definitely not something I grew up in, so it's not as relatable. But like to a person that grows up, in a black family, it's very relatable. The situations they get into, and watching them when I was younger, I didn't relate to that much because it's totally different. But I had a variety of shows I can watch, but then black people didn't have they had Proud Family. They had a few, and I remember like Boondock Saints or something had some of that.
I don't know. I
think that's what it was called, but you really didn't have that many options. And being little, I was like, I wanted to relate to the character, and like, if that character is not the same color, it's like, it's a little weird. And going back to like,
you thought that as a kid though?
No, thinking about it now.
Oh,
thinking about it now, and that I didn't see that as strange. But even like dolls and stuff, typically all white. So like to get a black doll, it wasn't as prominent as now when I was little. So it's like we've come a long ways, but it's weird to think when I was little, there wasn't that much out there.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
No,
could you imagine being a kid and you can't find a doll that looked like you?
Show me a Mexican doll.
I feel like there were some Mexican dolls.
There's no fucking Mexican doll.
No?
Now there probably are, but we talk about the race.
Well, let me say this one thing.
Okay.
So the Proud Family, I didn't really like watching it.
Because it wasn't relatable? Yeah.
But can you imagine, black people watching white shows? It's like, that's probably not relatable either.
Yeah.
And so they cling on to the little that they had when I was little. And so they were watching it. But I didn't really like it because it didn't, like, the grandma was a dominant figure, and my grandma was not a dominant figure in there. And like, I don't know, my family wasn't like crazy like together like that. Everybody was together and like did things together. I felt like in at least my life it wasn't like that, so it didn't make any sense. But
that's funny you mentioned that, because a show that I grew to like was the George Lopez show.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
And you got all those things that I didn't really get.
Yeah,
like the little we talked about this before. What kind of things did he say?
It's stupid jokes. It's like swimming, like drinking out of the water hose. He turned that into like a Mexican joke. Like he turned it into like, well, I'm Mexican, why I drink out of the water hose, or oh, you got a fucking swimming pool? You got to swim. We were swimming in the gutter because we didn't have a swimming pool. Like those types of Mexican, but he
mixed some Spanish and
you mix it Spanish and he kind of cussed in Spanish a little bit, but it was relatable because that's how verbatim the grandma is my mom. 100%. Like that's like just a hard ass. That's who it is. But what turned me off on George Lopez later was that he's so openly hateful towards Republicans. Like all Republicans are bad, and George Bush may be a fucking idiot, but you don't have to. If I'm watching your comedy special, I don't want to hear it all about politics. Yeah, like it becomes too much, and he made it too political. Yeah, so I stopped watching.
Yeah, that sucks too. That's another thing, but. You related George Lopez. I like George Lopez. I thought that show was really funny, but it just, I'd watch it, but I wasn't in love with it because I didn't relate to it. I didn't understand all the little things they did. But I like that it was funny enough that I can watch, but it was different. That's why I really like what Disney's doing with like making all these different shows, like Coco. It's like
Coco Melon.
No. Coco.
How do you know more about kid shows than I do?
We watch them a lot. God dang. What is it's based on Mexican culture. I think it's Coco. He plays the guitar. Damn it, I gotta look it up.
I don't know.
But anyways, they have that. They have Indian ones now, and it's like it's awesome that the different races can have like a Disney show to watch that's relatable to them. And a lot of them were just based off of white people.
I see what you're saying, but I kind of hate it too. Kind of like it, kind of hate it because
they need it. Because like I said,
why can't we just have a show? Why does it have to be about race?
Because we have to have things that are relatable to everybody. And I like watching the ones because then I learn. Let me look at this. I think it's Coco. This show is so cool. I mean, it's probably off a little bit. If you ask a Mexican person, they're probably like, I don't know. It might be racist. I don't know. But it's called Coco. And it's like this little boy that they go through the Day of the Dead. And like he loses. He never knew who his dad was.
Yeah. Okay. So I read, I got a book, like a Disney book that we read, Lino and Mia.
Yeah.
And Coco was one of the books. And it talks about the dad is coming to a dinner through the Day of the Dead or something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a really good movie. Like
it was a good book.
Yeah.
Or a good portion of the book.
And then you got Moana, right? I mean, Moana's like the island life, like
you
different stuff.
Lost me after Coco.
Well, Coco. But there's an Indian one too that came out. That's good.
Pocahontas?
Pocahontas is not the Indian I was talking about.
Imagine like that's pretty racist movie and nowadays. Can you even watch Pocahontas?
I don't know. That might not work anymore.
I bet Disney pissed off a lot of people. Pocahontas left her Indian boyfriend for a white guy.
Do you think that's racist?
I mean, if we're just talking about race, that probably pissed off a lot of Indians.
Yeah, it probably did. I'm trying to find this Indian one that just came out. I don't know. Anyways, but I think it's a good thing because I get to see something new and like, learn about a different culture, and then someone can watch something that's more relatable. That's not always the same blonde hair, blue eyed princess. It's like it's different. I think they had the princess movie too, where the princess was.
You spent a lot of time watching princess movies, don't you?
It's like the frog one. Let me see.
Kermit the Frog.
Give me 1 second. Fill in the space. You remember, like you told me.
I still feel like that drives a divide. Like that still keeps us separated.
I think it has to start this way, and then it'll mix, and then there's no more like just having one thing. But there's never. So the other one was Taina. Taina, the princess and the frog. So that was a black princess, and that. You know how many Disney movies there are, and this is the first one that happened like that. So
that's pretty big.
Yeah, but I think eventually you'll have all white, all Indian, all black, and then it'll start mixing in. Because I don't think a lot of Disney movies even had a black person in it for a long time. I'm probably wrong. So I'm gonna go and retract that because I'm probably wrong. There's probably one in there, but it's just you can see it in everything that it's just now gotten to the point where we're bringing different races into movies and TV and news and just all kinds of stuff in just our lifetime, and we weren't in those times of segregation and stuff. You know, our parents were
our great grandparents.
Yeah. And so we're so far along, we're still making small improvements. But I think we're going in the right direction, and then eventually we're going to be so diverse that you don't have to push it.
What else is happening is our kids and us were marrying and having kids with other people of opposite races.
And that was like a big deal. That was like in your parents' time, right? Your parents' time were probably...
Oh, yeah. If you were Mexican, and you better stay with a Mexican girl or a Mexican guy. Like,
but our generation now, I mean, your daughter could be with anybody and you'd be okay with it, right?
You go to my family reunion, and it looks like a white person family reunion. There's not a Mexican in sight.
Really?
It's just all white people.
Yeah.
Y'all are still taking over.
That's true. I think there's more interracial relationships now than ever. Like it's...
Yeah. I don't know. I love diversity and I love the inclusion of everybody, but I hate it being forced. And I hate the organizations that exist strictly to promote something of a race.
Yeah. Yeah, that's that spectrum of too much, but also it takes something like that to make a change initially. Yeah. Once it's changed,
does it go away?
You shouldn't need that driving force anymore, but I don't know. It could like relapse too, right? It could go back. But I think we're too diverse now that it won't go back. It's got to be. No. It's got to be that way.
Yeah, I don't think it'll ever go back.
Yeah.